It's that time of the week where we talk about all the very best comic books you can find from Marvel, DC, the indie comics, and here talking about that, as always, is Drew from Comics Lead. How you doing, Drew?
Doing great, Wes. Let's talk about some great comics. This is the best comic we've had in the past few weeks, so let's get cracking.
This is an absolutely very good comic book week. In fact, we had some pretty decent comics that don't make the list. We got 8 of them to talk about. First up, we're recommending The Magic Order, Volume 4, Number 4 from Image Comics. Mark Millar, Dyke Ruin. I don't see how you can actually take the Magic Order and take them any lower than has actually happened in this volume of the Magic Order. Cordelia is losing left and right. She's losing members of the Magic Order. She's barely got anyone left with her. But now she's in a magic realm with her brother, who's this big tyrannical leader. She can fight to save her life, possibly, and leave the realm and all this stuff. But he's setting up for this enormous climax. I don't know how she's going to get out of it, though, because he has seemingly made the story to where she cannot win in any conceivable way.
Absolutely. And at the end of this issue, I'm going to go back through what happens, but by the end of this issue, it's like I don't see how it's possible she can walk out of this alive. But yeah, this issue was so kinetic, fun, shocking, and funny in a dark way. Very funny. But so we're in the Wizard Battle Arena, and they're being taken out one by one by the Wizard King here, and then the Wizard King, he's told his heritage by Francis King, and how someone there is a relative of his. Does this change his ways? Is he surprised by this? You got to read to find out. And if you like Hellraiser, you won't be disappointed. But once again, for the cheap seats with their faces buried in the current Spider-Man, Avengers, and X-Men comics, this is amazing. Mark Millar is firing on all cylinders creatively and content-wise. He's never been this consistently great before in history. And these stories bring what Marvel and most DC titles aren't bringing, which is creativity. But hey, this just shows you the level of talent he has compared to everyone else. Do us all a favor. Just say no to Marvel and pick up Magic Order Volume 4, Number 4.
And you can't sing the praises of Dyke Ruin enough. I think the art really has come a long ways in this series.
Absolutely, yeah. And he's got some great money shots. I call them the money shots in this book, and they're amazing.
Also from Image Comics, we're recommending Rogue Sun number 12, Ryan Parrott writing, Abel on art. This is part of the ultra massive universe, I believe, that Kyle Higgins has put together. This is my personal favorite series, although we will talk about another one here in a few moments. We're at a dance, which isn't shocking because this is a teenage hero. And we've got, is it Hellbent and Morningstar? Some type of father-son evil villains have decided to try and take down the Rogue Sun himself. He's growing as a character sometimes, but sometimes he gets so stuck in his ways, he cannot help himself. He's kind of too much of a jerk. And I think they're trying to break him out of that particular part of his characterization, but it really kind of backfires on him here, although he doesn't die, thankfully.
Yes, and like you said, we have to remind people who aren't reading this possibly, he's still a kid. He's in high school. So he's still learning to trust people, learning to trust and not trust others. He's trusting people that he may not want to trust, who may have ulterior motives with him in mind. So, hey, that's a kid for you. They just don't know. They're learning their ways to become who they're going to be eventually. And so, like I said, Dylan, he comes face to face with father and son supervillain team at the school dance. And but hey, it looks like he may need some help through this fight at the dance. And it looks like there may be a certain casualty in this that I didn't see coming. I didn't think they're going to do it, but we'll see what happens. This was really good once again, and yeah, I agree with you. This is the best of the series in the ultra world, ultraverse,
ultra massive, something like that.
Sure, yeah, ultra massive line. This is the best one of all of them. And if you're not reading this, shame on you. Ryan Parrott is the next big superstar. I guarantee it. We will see him at DC or Marvel, probably next few years or not. Hopefully sooner rather than later. Yeah, please do check out Rogue Sun number 12.
The fact that he's not writing a DC or Marvel property that's a big name property after what he's done on Power Rangers, and now that he's doing with Rogue Sun, and pretty much everything else that he's touched is just shows you that they can't evaluate talent, because there's one sitting there. He's absolutely amazing. Also in the supermassive universe, we have No One number 2, Image Comics as well. Kyle Higgins on this one with Geraldo Borges on art. This one is a much different comic book than you're going to get from Radiant Black. It's far different than you're going to get from Rogue Sun as well, but it is still in the same universe. This is much more of a mystery about who this hero is. You don't really know the identity, and it's not really about the hero themselves. It's about events happening around the hero and how it's impacting people in the city of Pittsburgh. Specifically, I believe he's the police chief, is kind of the central figure in this particular issue. I really like the start of this. I kind of like the mystery. I'm kind of buying into it. We'll see where it goes. I'm not 100% on board this one like I am for Rogue Sun or anything like that, but there's been enough interesting stuff happening that I am going to stick around for the ride for at least a little bit longer.
Like you said, it's very different than everything else, which is good. I do like that. In reading this issue in particular, I really felt like it would serve us better as a novel, I think, or a graphic novel, because there are certain points in this where it is very dialogue heavy, very heavy. Like there's probably one action scene in this, and then it cuts back to dialogue, which is not a problem. I don't have a problem with that. But this type of story, it's very exposition heavy, and because you're learning about everyone in this universe, and it just so happens, like you said, the main character, the superhero, it's everything happening around him. It's good. It's different. Like you said earlier, I want to see where this goes. I want to see what happens with issue 3 and 4 and so on, and see if I'm still on board with this. But yeah, this is a good read. Do check this out if you want something different.
Definitely has a different feel to it than most other superhero comics that you're going to find. We have one more indie comic book to talk about, Gunslinger Spawn number 19, Image Comics, Todd McFarlane, Brett Booth. Brett Booth is doing some amazing work, and this really is the breakout character from the Spawnverse.
He absolutely is. And the opening page of this comic, holy crap, this is what I'm talking about. This is textbook of how to get someone's attention in a comic. If it doesn't get your attention, there's clearly something wrong with you. That's all I got to say. And then the second page, my God, I'm just clenching thinking about what is happening to Gunslinger and how his body is just treated like it's nothing. But hey, our old buddy Al comes in packing some heat to save the day. But on one of the last pages, dude, a few times I'm laughing out loud and yelling yes. But wow, the pages of all out action, the splash pages, the detail by Brett Booth and Adelsel Corona. My God, this is God tier art. Now, the one part of this that I really think is kind of lacking, it's not that strong, is Todd McFarlane's captions, dialogue is arguably the weakest part of this comic. But you don't even need to read it. The art tells the story. And all you got to do is just follow it. You understand it. Enough said. You see, kids, this is what comic book art is supposed to be. Not the stuff you get in X-Men or Harley Quinn or Robin. This is it. And the fact that it's all being inked by hand by Adelsel Corona, it leaves me speechless. Gunslinger Spawn and World's Finest, we're going to hopefully talk about a little later, are arguably the two comics right now, outside of anything Mark Millar is doing, that are equally as great. Ice Cream Man is a close third. But my God, this week came back swinging, and it was an uppercut, especially with this issue, art-wise. Definitely
check that out. We got a lot of indie comic books to recommend for you there. We had 4 of them. Now let's move over to the big 2. We have one Marvel comic book to recommend. You're saying people should pick up Warlock Rebirth number 1. Ron Mars, Ron Lim on this one. If you're a big fan of Adam Warlock, we don't see him a whole lot. This is all about him, and I believe it's one of those throwback series that's basically set 30 years ago. So it's not mainline continuity right now, but it is important to the history of the character and kind of building him out.
That is correct. Yeah, it's a moment in time, if you will. And I'm going with that. I can go with this type of story. So in this story, Genis Vell, who is the son of Captain Marvel, the original, who died, he comes to Earth to learn more about his father because he didn't know who he was. He gets into a little skirmish on Monster Island, which is a lot of fun, illustrated by Ron Lim. And he goes off to find Adam Warlock, who can hopefully tell him about his family's legacy. But we also learn the backstory of Adam Warlock, and it's told very succinctly and very well in one page. It's beautiful. But when we find Adam Warlock in this, he is weak. He's been beaten. He's worn down, and there's a cocoon in his chamber. But what comes out of that cocoon? Eve Warlock, sent here to replace Adam for his failures. And Eve just wipes the floor with everyone. This was a great issue. It's a lot of fun, very fast-paced, kinetic, fun action scenes, well illustrated, strong recommend. Please do check out Warlock Rebirth number 1. It is really good.
I don't think it's a coincidence that almost every really good thing that Marvel Comics are putting out are old school writers doing stories set 30 years ago because their current continuity sucks. But at least the throwback series are absolutely amazing. Now let's move over to DC because they actually had a really good week. Definitely recommending Batman Superman World's Finest number 14. Mark Waid writing, Dan Moore illustrating. Once again, looks like $1 million. There are not enough superlatives to talk about the amazing work that Dan Moore is doing on this book. The fallout from the previous issue where Bruce Wayne has basically been framed as the murder of Simon Stagg. They thought it was Metallo, But now Metallo is going out there and he's trying to run down, figure out who actually committed the murder to release Bruce Wayne. And we get a shitload of cameos. If you like DC Comics history, if you like obscure DC characters, this is the comic book for you. It looks like $1 million, and it's such a fun read. I'm glad we're still getting a great series like this.
Absolutely. And real quick, one little correction. It's not Metallo, it's Metamorpho.
Metamorpho. I'm fucking Superman, man.
But this series, this issue, my God, the opening of this issue, Metamorpho, he's not pulling any punches anymore. No more Mr. Nice Metamorpho. The banner afterwards with Bruce and Clark is terrific. It's top notch. I love the back and forth about the investigation and the hindering of Batman, the difference between Superman and Clark and the cave and the Fortress of Solitude. It's great stuff. There's one great moment. It's a small moment. You see Superman and Robin. They're like, Superman's like, I got a detective helping me. They're both giving the thumbs up to each other. It's a great moment. It's funny. And the stuff right after between Oliver, Queen, and Bruce is terrific as well, even though it may not be Oliver, but we'll find out later in this issue. And we do some deep diving into the Metamorphos Rogues Gallery. That's been terrific as well. I didn't even know he had a Rogues Gallery. And it just shows you how talented and creative Mark Waid is. He doesn't need to create all these 20, 30 different generic derivative characters. He's deep diving into the well to find characters just sitting there to bring back. And later on, when Superman and Robin follow a lead on who could be pulling the strings of this, it gets downright creepy. And I love it. It turns into a horror story in the latter half of this comic, and I love it. And you get a crazy new version of a villain as well, it looks like. This is the strongest recommends this week. Wes, we got to talk about this. What do we have to do to sell people on this book to get us beyond the number 50 mark, to get us up in the top 20? What do we got to do?
I don't know. Maybe they don't put enough variant covers on the book. Maybe that's what's holding it back. Or possibly the fact that there's 50 other Batman titles coming out in a month, and now there's another 10 Superman titles coming out every month.
Which doesn't
Maybe that's what's doing it.
It could be, but I don't know what I can do beyond this point besides getting a megaphone, going through the highways. Buy this book, everyone. It's amazing. This is the best book from DC Comics right now, and one of the best books out there right now. If you are not reading this and you're reading Spider-Man, shame on you. Drop that. Pick this up.
Crimes against comic books. That's what that is.
Yes, that is. 100%.
Our next recommendation from DC, Flash 797, Jeremy Adams, Serge Acuna on art here. I don't love the art in this comic book. I think it takes a little bit of a step back, and this really isn't even a Flash book. It's a Flash Kids book. It's Jai and Iris and Animal Girl, I think, teaming up to go out there and fight some villains. For what it is, I do enjoy it. Do I enjoy it as much as what Jeremy Adams was doing before Flash 1 Minute War with the entire Flash family with Wally West at the center of the stories? Absolutely not. But he is winding down the end of the road. We've only got a couple of issues left. I'm definitely sticking around to the end, but I will admit this might be the worst issue of Flash that he's written.
Yeah, what's funny is that this takes place during the ending of the Flash 2022 annual. So, because this really does feel like an annual story, very much so. And we have two different artists on this as well, and the differences are jarring in this book. It's like going from Jason Fabok to Daniel Acuna. Big change. But Wallace West, he's on babysitting detail for Wally. Okay, it's cute. But the kids get kidnapped from a villain in a prior issue. And we also get two characters I did not see coming showing up in this. But hey, it's fun. I'll gladly take it.
That was a great cameo.
Yes, it was. It's decently fun through to the end. And the last page has a very interesting cliffhanger. It's like I said, it's not the strongest. It's possibly the worst, but it's not bad. It's a fun read, especially with the cameos in this.
It's definitely worth a read. I'm just saying it's not quite as good as Jeremy Adams was doing, but where is he going with the book? He's done his event now. He's kind of just waiting out for Flash 800. I don't know what he's supposed to do. So he gave us something. It's enjoyable. I wish we got a longer Flash run. That's all I could say about it. Final recommendation, Deceased, War of the Undead Gods, number 8, Tom Taylor, Trevor Hairside. We are at the end of the road. This is the last issue, according to DC Comics, we'll ever get of Deceased. I'm not a big Tom Taylor fan, but what he has done with Deceased has been absolutely amazing. I personally like the first volume the best, but that's to be expected when you have something like this. But he did a great job. And any accolades that he gets for the work on Deceased is absolutely well earned. And, we get the ending here. And he's been building up to it, and I think people are going to like it. Although I will say once again, I think Trevor Hairsine's art gets worse as the series goes along.
It does, and once again, we get multiple artists in this, so the art is very jarring at points because Trevor Hairsine has a very distinct style, and when you cut to another style that's very unique in its own as well, it's like, okay, clearly he was falling behind, or they had to get another artist. But yeah, it's a very somber ending to this story. So one character sacrifices their life to save the universe, and you really understand that the character at this point has come full circle to who they are. It's a very fitting ending to the story and a very worthy sacrifice that this character makes. This beginning to end, like the ending of this, it fits perfectly. It's beautiful. Some of the best work Tom Taylor's probably ever done. I just finished reading Titans #1 coming out in a few weeks, and there's a stark contrast between this and Titans #1. That's all I'm going to say. But yeah, do check this out if you've been reading Deceased. You will not be disappointed with this ending. It is beautiful.
So DC Comics, it says Deceased is over. That little part of the multiverse, that corner of the universe, no longer is going to be worked in. I think they're lying. There aren't enough really good high-selling series or universes right now for DC Comics. I think within 6 months they're going to announce something else with Deceased. I don't believe it.
It's possible. I mean, like we've learned, if that cash cow still has udders that need to be milked, they're going to milk those udders. And I think there's still a couple of udders left in this cash cow.
I do want to say thank you very much to Drew and obviously all of you for joining me today, talking about the best comic books that you could find this week. I hope we were able to help you find the perfect comic book for you so you can enjoy and spend your money on great comic books. If you're done with the video but you want some more, I've always got more videos. In fact, I've got over 2,000 of them. Thankfully, YouTube has looked at the videos you like to watch and I like to make, and they said, this is the perfect video I ever made just for you. If you haven't seen this one yet, definitely check it out right now.